The Hispanic roots of the United States. An overall vision. The Hispanic monarchy ruled over much of what is now currently the United States. It had an actual presence and exercised genuine administration in Florida, Texas, New Mexico, southern Arizona, and California, as well as in a large territory with poorly defined borders known as Louisiana, located mostly west of the Mississippi River. This presence in North America lasted more than 3 centuries. During that time, Hispanics explored, colonized, and brought their culture, language, and religion to those lands. We talk about all of this. 1. Shared changing borders. France ceded Louisiana to Spain as compensation for the loss of Florida in the Treaty of Paris of 1763, which ended the 7 Years' War, 1756 until 1763. Despite its victory, Great Britain emerged with a battered economy and decided to raise taxes, which caused great unrest in the American colonies. This increased with the Royal Proclamation of 1763, which prohibited colonization west of the Appalachian Mountains to prevent depopulation in the Atlantic coast settlements and to prevent conflicts with the Indian tribes. Some of those who would later become rebel leaders, such as George Washington and Thomas Jefferson, had explored and acquired thousands of acres along the upper Potomac in Ohio and in western Virginia in previous years. The prohibition harmed their interests and was a major reason for the insurrection, which finally took place in 1775. France and Spain supported the insurgents. The Treaty of Paris of 1783, signed by Great Britain, the United States, France, and Spain, recognized the independence of the 13 colonies and gave Florida back to Spain. However, the Spanish territorial claims by right of conquest on the eastern bank of the Mississippi or its exclusive right of navigation on this river were not taken into consideration. This happened because one of the representatives of Congress traveled from Paris to London and signed a preliminary treaty with the former mother country in which England awarded territories that no longer belonged to it and allowed freedom of navigation on a river that it did not control. This meant going back to the situation of peace of 1763. After many years of fruitless negotiations between the Spanish crown and the new state, the Treaty of San Lorenzo de El Escorial was finally signed in 1795, which defined the border between the United States and North Florida. The border with Louisiana was already located at the Mississippi River. Spain gave up much of what it had gained during the war and agreed to free navigation on that river for Americans and Spaniards. By the Third Treaty of San Ildefonso, Spain ceded Louisiana in 1803 to the France of Napoleon, who immediately sold it to the young nation. In the following years, United States westward expansion provoked new grievances and territorial conflicts with Spain. The Adams-Onis Treaty was signed in 1819 and ratified in 1821. It fixed the new borders between the two nations. On the eve of Mexico's independence, a large part of what is now the United States was still recognized as Spanish territory. But for Spain, it was the last chapter of a story that had begun 300 years earlier.